Hello, everyone. My name is Roet, your local Splatoon interview addict. Today I'm joined here with low tier Yoshi. Yoshi, could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, my name is Yoshi God. I go by Low Tier Yoshi on Blue Sky as my handle, and yeah, I'm excited to be here. I used to coach Paradigm Starfish. I've coached a couple other teams before that. I also commentate, so you probably heard my name in I think SBA, Paddling Pool, and FTIU are the tournaments I've commentated in the past. So you might have heard of my name there. And I also am a low-level player who likes to beef with Pop Gun every now and then.
I suppose let's start there, shall we? What's that's like the one thing, but like we've met each other kind of recently in the SBA showcase that happened. But the one thing that I really knew you for before this is some interesting posts that I've seen involving you and Popgun. Could you give me a bit of insight into that?
Well, I mean, I forgot exactly when it started, but I remember I just started adding Pop Gun randomly, and I just wanted his opinion on things, and then I realized it's just really funny to add this like 30-year-old dude who's got like a wife and kids at home, and he's got this 22-year-old college kid asking him a bunch of questions online, and I'm just like, I just keep adding him, keep saying, and he gives some funny responses. Obviously, it's all good fun. I obviously don't hate the guy, but all good fun. I really enjoy talking with him. And I recently got on the podcast. That's something I'm a podcast contributor as well. And I asked him if being bald makes you better at Splatoon, and he's still yet to answer the question directly. He actually contributed to results culture being toxic, guys. He quoted my D7 results, so he is the reason that that results culture is toxic. I'm kidding, obviously, but
Do you
oh my god.
do you got some do you have some so it just kind of happened? You kind of just started adding the guy.
I have to like here. I could look it up right now when the first time I added him
We're
was, but
getting the live.
I forgot when it was, to be
Was this
honest.
on
It's
like
been like
Twitter? Is this on Blue Sky? Is this on Discord?
it's
Is it
all been on Blue Sky. It's
Okay,
all been on
okay.
Blue Sky. I oh wait, no, I think I remember it now. He joined one of our streams during Low Ink, and we got a team kicked out of the
Wait,
tournament
you gotta
because
explain that.
so we were playing, right, and one of our friends, like a mutual friend that we had, was in the tournament, but they were like they're Low Ink banned, and they
Right.
stuck their way past the thing. And then Popgun randomly joins our broadcast of it. I think it was Al Mojo's broadcast of it, and we got him to ban. We got him to get them out of the tournament and kick them from the tournament. So that's how it started. We were. I remember I was jokingly. I was using a Trump voice. I was saying that Try Strike Tuesday is a better tournament and all that stuff. That's how it really started. And then it just turned into me adding him over and over again. Then he called me Cringeosaurus Rex after one of the ads I did at him.
Uh, I think I'd shrivel into dust if I got called Cringeosaurus Resp by fucking Pop Gun on Twitter, bro. I think I'd actually lose my mind.
Hey, listen, I have a full head of hair and he doesn't, so I think I'm doing quite fine.
Yo! Hey, I don't know if I can platform such violence. Okay, tone it down a
Hey,
notch.
oh my god, yeah, no, that's like the story.
So, just generally, I think I've heard you commentate before, but the main thing like I've seen of you is just like frankly just Twitter and Blue Sky shit posts. Like as someone who used to
It's
contribute like a lot in that way, what do you get out of that? What's that like?
Oh, it's just so much fun, man. I mean, I think it brings a lot of fun to the community. Like I used to be like in the very serious part of it for a while. I mean, for a year I was coaching Paradigm Starfish. For a year I was like sitting, I was analyzing the game. People don't know this about me. It's funny because people don't know that like I coached PS from like I'm not gonna say I did. Of course, it was a collective effort, right? But like it was like D6-7 to 6-7. Fuck.
You said the funny
Div
number
Div
too.
six Div 6-7 to Div 2. So it's like I have a decent idea of how the game works and stuff. And then like after that year, I was like, at the end of it, I was like making a bunch of blue sky posts, and I was having more fun, and I was like, man, I just want to spread more fun, you know? Like I think people take this game very seriously. I think that's fine, right? But I think there's not enough like of the fun aspect of it. So when I like contribute it, I make people laugh. I'm a former stand-up comedian as well. It makes me happy because other people are happy, obviously. And if people are laughing and enjoying the scene more because of my posts, I think that's a net positive. So it makes me happy to see other people happy and interact with the game in a more lighthearted manner than as opposed to the rigidness and seriousness that comes with competing.
Former stand-up comedian, you said?
Yes, yes. I was a comedian for my comedy troupe in my college. I dropped out of it because I didn't like the leadership that took it over. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I was in my local I was in my comedy troupe. I had performed like 8 or 9 shows. So I've got a decent bit of experience in it. I've performed outside of that, obviously. That's the hard part is performing with non-college crowds because usually there's a little pre-game before the college shows for all the people who are in the audience, so a little easier to make them laugh than at a random show. So yeah.
Do you think you've taken a lot of what you've learned in that into your Blue Sky shit posts?
Obviously, yeah. Half of it, yeah, yeah. No, for sure, for sure.
You mentioned in there Paradigm Starfish and how you used to coach them. What was that like?
That was one of the weirdest experiences, best experiences, just everything. I coached them. I think it was 2020, yeah, 2024 in summer. I started coaching them. And I remember I always tell the story when I first started coaching them. I was actually supposed to be the social media guy for the team. I was brought on to talk shit. What?
Okay,
Yeah.
I hit the stop recording button for a second. Ignore the massive cut that just happened there for no
Okay,
reason.
okay. Yeah. I was brought on to do like some social media stuff, and then I got a VOD that Infa sent me, and I watched it, and it was probably 5 minutes of the most dog shit gameplay I've seen in my life. I've never seen a team quite as uncoordinated as like the very early stages of Paradigm Starfish. I messaged him back and I'm like, dude, you guys are ass. And he's like, you want to coach? And I'd coached 6-star wanted level, if you know that team. That was a zombie cooler team I'd coached back in the day. And I was just coming off coaching them, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And I joined on, and I coached them for a year. I saw them go from being low level to being at the top of the game, and then mutually came to an agreement that I wasn't really helping as much as I was at the start, and I wasn't really as needed. I'm still technically on as like a coach, but more in a like when they need me kind of way, not necessarily as a full time coach anymore. But no, those were fun. I learned a lot about coaching, makes teams successful, what doesn't. It was fun. It was good fun. I enjoyed it.
Paradigm Starfish is pretty known for having some unique takes on the game, especially comp wise.
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
it like to coach a team with a pretty unique weapon comp or approach to the game?
So here's the fun thing. The only teams I have really coached have been either a hyperdive or an off meta. So the first team I really coached was 6-star wanted level. That was a double cooler zombie team. That was before cooler was really what it was right now. And I had been used to being around a lot of those ideas. So when they brought me on, I was well aware of how to deal with it. But when you're in those kinds of environments, it's important to have a very clearly defined win condition. That's kind of like any team. I always say in general is like the clearly defined win condition and being able to understand how that works. But the challenges really start when you're looking for ways to improve because I think there are a lot of resources out there for very meta styles of play where it's like you can pull from someone's gameplay and be like, oh, this directly correlates to what we're doing, right? But when you have an off meta and a different play style, it becomes a lot trickier. You have to be a lot more. I believe you have to be a lot more creative with the solutions. That's not to say that people who are coaching meta aren't creative, but I think you have to come up with solutions that don't exist essentially. Like with Paradigm Starfish, there was no hyperdive team. So we were coming up with the theory as we were progressing, and I was having to figure out ways to coach the team. And there were times where I was wrong. There were times where maybe a player was wrong about something and how it would work, and you have to keep kind of doing that trial and error process until we came to something that made sense. So like it was like it's hard. It's definitely different, but it's a lot more exciting, and I think it's a lot more like mentally stimulating than potentially something that the answers are kind of out there for.
I think it must be pretty hard to not have a playbook, to not have like a VOD you can go watch, to not have a player's perspective that you can tap into to have that expertise. It's kind of you're rediscovering the game in a way.
It's tough. I will say a lot of what I had to end up pulling from, and actually why I think I succeeded as well a lot, is because I just never really watched a lot of meta gameplay. I never really watched a lot of like how top people played. I just stole so many concepts from Counter Strike. Oh my god, the amount of shit I was stealing was like unbelievable. Like it's a lot of like what I thought logically. I was like, okay, well, if this works in like Counter Strike, let's like turn up the pace in my head and let's see like how that would affect a game. That's why you saw like I think I made a guide on this very recently about trading for space. That's like a Counter Strike concept that I was like exploring and like okay, like if you're playing fast, right? You don't have the specials. What if we just use a player and have them chip in, and then we get the trade off of them, and then use the trade for the space rather than necessarily using the special for the space. And you're trying these different things that sound absolutely like diabolical, but something will eventually stick, is what you have to keep telling yourself. So yeah, no, it's tough. You learn to pick things from different games. You learn to pick things from different perspectives, I think.
Do you have like competitive experience in CS, or is it just like a game that you followed kind of
I
the
watched
competitive scene for?
I watch a lot of Counter Strike. I fucking hate Astralis. Let's make that first and foremost here. You know, now that I have a platform to talk about Counter Strike, I hate Astralis. We don't
You're
like
speaking gibberish
Astralis.
to me.
We like Navi. We like Natus Vincere. We like Natus Vincere. We don't like Astralis. I'll say that much. But I do, Astralis, obviously, I pull a lot from their tactics, but I don't like them.
The two Counter Strike Ismisha Robo watchers are absolutely foaming at the mouth right now.
Yeah, exactly. If you ever want to count some Counter Strike, I'm not too tapped into the scene nowadays, but like I'm talking a couple of years ago, and I'm now getting right. I'm getting back into it now. I'm learning about the new teams and Falcons and all these guys, and just kind of catching up to what I missed out on in the past couple of years of focusing more on Splatoon. But yeah, if you ever want to talk about Counter Strike with me, I'll have DMs are always open. I love Counter Strike.
How'd you even get to Splatoon? How'd you, why here?
This is gonna piss off some people, I know, but I got into the scene as a joke. I, I was like, it was so my friend group had at least recently dropped me for some reason. I don't know what the hell I did, but like this like friend group I was in, like they were like you're being weird, like go away. And I'm like okay, like I don't know what the hell I did, but I'd just been dropped from my friend group, and I remember I was trying to find something to do during the pandemic, so I joined in like 2020. And I was like, you know what would be really funny if I became a competitive Splatoon player. How fucking stupid is that? That people play Splatoon competitively. What if I just how hard could it possibly be came to my mind essentially. And I end up trying out for a team called Lunar Tide, and the captain of Lunar Tide was Infa, and that's how I met Infa for the first time.
Oh wow! So that friendship was formed super early.
I've known him for a good 4 to 5 years. I've known him
Wow.
for a while. Yeah, we're pretty close. And I remember trying out for that team. I got on the team, and the really funny story. You know, people always associate Infa with off meta. He was so on meta back then, though. Oh my lord, that dude was a meta fiend back in.
I think it takes being on meta long enough to break you to become off meta.
He essentially, I tried out as a one trick Luna player, and he told me that I can't play Luna because it doesn't work in competitive. And I was forced to switch my play style to be a support Zap player or support shooter. Like it was mostly Zap though that I was being put on, and to just farm armors in the corner of the map. That was the job he gave me. I remember that. I remember. I don't forgive him for it. I've never forgiven him for it, but it was awful. But then I turned into a backline player, and that was worse. So not, I was a Hydra one trick backline. So
Hydra one trick,
it
and this was Splatoon 2?
Splatoon 2, yeah. So this was back when like armor was a thing, when rays were like, dude, the specials were just fucking, they were just stupid. They were just stupid back then.
Splatoon 2 is a
Specials
whole
were
last time, dude.
Splatoon 2 special play was like not fun. Like I will people say
Objectively,
like it
it
was
isn't.
more people say the game was more balanced. I would rather play 3 any day of the week than play 2. Like that game is slow, the camera control is awful. The prevalence of specials is just like there should be no special where I can push a button and have an instant impact on the game, like armor, or I jump back with a ray and just kill 2 people. That's stupid in my opinion. But just yeah, no, 2 was awful, man. 2 was bad.
How do you go from playing the game to coaching?
So I'm trying to remember how I really got into coaching. I remember I stopped playing. So I went on a gap year, and I stopped playing obviously during that gap year because I just didn't. I wanted to focus on what my gap year was about, and that was more about finding myself. And after that, I had gone to a university that I did not like. I did not enjoy it. I transferred to a better one afterwards. But I remember that year I was like, I knew I was gonna leave. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna make any like close friends here because it's just like I'm just gonna leave anyways. And unfortunately, I still have lost contact with the people that were there. But I remember I was in my dorm room and I was like, I need something to do. And I was like, and then Infa I think messaged me and he's like, you want to like get back into this? And I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's get back into this. And we made I didn't want to play, so we made a team for one of my friends, Rails. It was 6-star wanted level, named after a Babytron song, of all things to be named after. And I just kind of started coaching from there. I mean, I managed the team first, and I helped like build the team and get them scrims and stuff. And then I turned into more me learning from Infa and VOD reviewing, and then I slowly developed my own style of coaching. And there's a lot of trial and error with coaching. I will say that a lot of trial and error I had to learn. So, but I mean, that's kind of how I got into it.
Do you like? I know they fulfill very different like niches because I've had some amount of limited coaching experience with my role in the Stronghold Beginners Academy, and I've had a
Mhm.
lot of experience playing the game. What do you get
Yeah,
out of either? Do you have a preference for one or the other in how you interact with the game?
it depends. So, if you asked me this, I'd say like maybe in like April, I would tell you I had a preference to coaching because I just enjoy. I mean, for me personally, it's very fulfilling to see people like achieve their goals and be able to get
Mm.
better. And I'm happy I'm able to be part of that process because I know I don't want to sound arrogant, but I know I'm good at coaching. I'm gonna say that I know I'm good at. So it helps. I know I can help people, and it helps me mentally. I enjoy watching people get better. That's not to say that's changed at all, but now I prefer playing more because I've been coaching for like 2 years, like just pure coaching, not playing, and I've gotten to a point where it's like I've kind of done the things I've wanted to. We got nominated for Team of the Year, and when we got nominated, like my brain now is like I don't really care about winning the
Mm.
award. Really, like it is what it is. Getting nominated was enough for me, so I was like, okay, nominated for Team of the Year. I've coached a team to a high level. I was like trying to think to myself of like, what do I have left to prove to myself, essentially, as a coach? And I'm like, there's nothing really that I really need to prove. And I tried to do the same thing again. I briefly coached What the Fuzz. That didn't end up working out. Just a difference in opinions that ended up not really panning out, unfortunately. No one really to blame for that. But it's just like now I'm like I don't like personally I don't have the drive I used to have. And I just stopped. I mean, every now and then I'll like if I get like a if someone's like, "Hey, I need help with this like concept," I'm like, "Oh, sure, I'll like sit in a call with them and like figure it out." But like when it comes to like a dedicated team coach, like I don't have the drive. Like it's not there. So I prefer playing now.
To kind of add a third layer to this,
Mhm.
commentary. How do you how do you go from joining the scene as a player and then developing as a coach and then starting to try and develop your commentary skills?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, commentary is like it was one of those things where it's like I was done coaching PS, right? And the time I started getting into commentary. I was good friends with Z as well, who you've had on previously. And I was like, like I don't really want I mean it's one of those things I still want to interact in the scene, but I don't really want to like be forced to be a player. Um and now it's like and then I was like, oh shit, like I can just commentate, right? So I hit up Z and I'm like, if you ever have anyone who needs to film for commentary, just like let me know. And then one day, I think they needed an FTIU commentator. Super last minute, I joined the stream. It was a good fun. Originally, I wanted to do it to provide more of informative commentary of like what both teams were doing, what the win conditions are, and I think it slowly devolved more into being more about building moments and like building hype. Because I realized that people are more interested in the hype when they're watching a tournament rather than the actual analysis of what's going on, which is why I'm not an analyst. So I put more of my effort now towards like building hype and stuff. But it was just like one of those things where again, it's like I wanted to do something with the scene still, and I was like, commentary sounds fun. I've been a stand-up comedian before. I've spoken in front of people. Why not do that again?
Mm.
And I've had some pretty good times with it. I shout out my co-commentator, the first co-commentator I ever had, Frostix. He's really funny. Check him out. But yeah, just wow. I mean, it was fun. I mean, it's just like that. It's like spur of the moment stuff for me. Usually, there's no real story behind it, unfortunately.
You mentioned in there like your style of commentary being more about like hype than analysis. I don't know if this is just me. I low key find like mid tourney between set analysis really boring.
Yeah, I noticed that going forward with my commentary. I remember I first started with that analysis, with the like what's going on, because I found it interesting. Because as a coach, I want to know
Mm.
what's going on, right? I look at both teams. I'm like, all right, what's going to really break the game open, right? I can tell you what's going to break the game open sometimes, right? And sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right. But I could give you at least an informed opinion on what's going to happen. But people don't really care. People want the drama. They want something to feel emotionally attached to. And it's hard to be very emotionally attached to the analysis of the game, and it's easier to be attached to the emotion of the game.
Yeah.
So I shifted because of that, and I agree. I think it's like it's hard to be very attached to analysis, and the storyline being primarily the analysis of both teams.
Mm. I think analysis has its place. I really like analysis. I love engaging in analysis. But like when I'm watching a tournament, I'm watching it for the hype. I'm watching it for the story. I'm here to watch a little war wage on for a couple hours. I'm not here to like hear what
Yeah.
commentator '01 has to say about the game that I just watched.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, I realized that too, and it was, I've dialed back on that. I also, yeah, I mean, also you're gonna hear it from me as well too. I'm not a huge fan of analysis as myself, really, for the most part. I stray away from them for the most part, which is, I remember info was like at one point, it's like you should be an analyst, and I was like, fuck no. It's like no, I'm not gonna be an analyst. I'm not doing that. So
Big
I, I,
picture.
I understand.
No, no, no. Come on.
No, 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 no. That was it. That was it.
Okay. Big picture question to kind of try to wrap things up. What's like if you could make one change to the scene? What is it? You can snap your fingers and alter reality. What is it?
This is tough.
On
One
the
thing
spot.
you're saying?
One thing.
I would say I would want a centralized league. Actually, is a big thing I'd want.
Mm.
So a lot of people think that's like Sendo Q, and to a certain extent, it does do that. But I think having something like oh my god, it's like ESL Pro League for Counter Strike. Maybe not to the same degree, obviously, in terms of like their pyramid system and how they organize everything. And of course, the money isn't there, and I understand that. But having like a group of teams that are at a very high level be in like one league and have them compete in like seasons, I would love to watch that and I'd love to commentate that actually because I feel like when you have that kind of league and structure, I feel like you get a lot of interesting games. I feel like you get a lot of the best, most coordinated games you can get by doing that. I think it encourages a lot of people to make teams. I'm not a huge fan of pickup teams because I don't think I don't think. I mean, of course, you can do a pickup team. I'm not saying it's like a bad thing, but I'm not a fan of watching them because I feel like the tactics are a lot simpler than as opposed to with some teams where they have very specific win conditions. I like watching that kind of style of play. So if there was a centralized league where people were incentivized to stay on teams and be able to sort of what's the word? Be given an incentive to just kind of stick together and have like a actual central league, I'd love that. I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be really cool.
I think that's the first time I've heard that particular argument against pickup culture. The kind of like, I like watching people who have that level of synergy more than I like watching pickups.
Yeah, it's a weirder point of view. I think it's more of the coach's point of view as well, I
Hmm.
will say. I don't think it's a view that's going to be shared by a lot of people. For me, I just really enjoy watching coordinated gameplay to begin with. And that was a big thing when I was coaching PS was coordination and how to coordinate properly. So when I watch games now after a year of drilling coordination, the first thing that stands out to me is coordination. If there's a lack thereof, or if there's more of it, and then the more coordination you get, the more specialized kind of win conditions you can play to. So when I watch the game, I really enjoy watching teams that have very specialized win conditions because they're more fun and interesting to watch. It's not something you normally see. So when I want to think about a league I want to watch, the main thing that stands up to me is coordination. So by that logic, if there was a league that could incentivize people to kind of develop those win conditions, it'd be sick. It'd be cool.
Pretty wide ranging conversation, Yoshi. If you could,
Yeah,
if you could kind of sum up your view on the scene, your view on the game in a short little message to the world, what would it be?
I think the scene is very interesting right now. I think it's at a very big crossroads. We're seeing a lot of people who are against some play styles, who are for some play styles, who are for some weapons against some. I'm not going to pick sides here. As I've said in the past, I think the argument of it is a little weird, but I think we're at a point where this could either be a very good conversation we could all be having where we can integrate ideas from different play styles to make more rich and deeper play styles, or I think this could be kind of the division of play where it's like we have some people who play, I'll just say it. We have some people who are playing hyperdive and some people who are playing standard pace, right? And I want people to not have that division. I'd rather see more crossroads. That's why you've seen me be a lot more open to meta ideas. Hell, I even play slower now as well to try to understand it more. And I want to see more. I think that's like the crossroads we're at of whether we're going to see a lot more of that kind of collaboration or we're going to see a lot more of that hostility. I'm hoping less hostility from both sides. I think both sides, and I will say, including myself at times, have been a little bit too against both play styles. And I think there needs to be a lot more collaboration. I think for the scene, it's a very interesting point in terms of play styles. In terms of tournaments and TOing, I think we're at a pretty good point. I think there's a lot of tournaments. I think that's what everyone has said. That there are a lot of tournaments, and there's unfortunately not a lot of ways to play all of those tournaments. So probably we'll see maybe I'd guess more of a centralization of how those tournaments are being handled when they're being done. If you're gonna ask me for my opinion on that, I think there should be probably if I would say there should be less tournaments, but there should be one every single day that everyone subscribes to or plays to, or like one or two. And I think that should be a couple low level ones, low level locked ones, and there should be a couple of open ones. Essentially, is what my like thing is because I think there's some very and then of course every on the weekends and having it every now and then having these like more gimmicky tournaments because I think those are fun too. Obviously, you don't want to get rid of the gimmick tournaments because those are cool. And I think going forward, that'll be very interesting to see how that tournament debacle is resolved. I know a lot of people have very strong opinions on it. For me personally, as someone who's played and is coached for the tournaments, I think there should be a little bit more of a focus on certain tournaments. I think there should be a little bit less. You should cut out some of the fat, but that's just a blue sky shitter giving an opinion on something that they're not qualified to give an opinion on. So.
Hey, you're more than
Yeah,
a
in
blue
terms
sky
of
shitter. You're on the Roa podcast right now. The unnamed Splatoon interview Roa podcast.
the unnamed. You should get a name. You should get a
Okay,
name.
I'm debuting it right now. I've been thinking, because it has like the Blob Mob like sticker in the middle. That's like the brand I'm going for. That's like the Blob Mob mask I got on my character and everything. What about
Yeah.
Mob Mentality?
No.
Damn. Okay, you heard it here first,
horrible.
folks. Just straight up
That's
now.
horrible.
Okay. With that, I think we're gonna leave it there.
You had so much time to come up with a name, and you came up with mob mentality. At least when I was about to make my podcast, it was called Zins and Sins. At least it was something that like had some sort of creative outlet. What the fuck is mob mentality?
Oh, bro. Okay, chat.
Dude.
I'll
Oh,
talk to
God.
you. Goodbye.